sleep.
Hi BookTube, it's Missy, and today I'm here to share with you guys my recap, rewrap, and update for August, September, and October of 2015. There's a lot of books here, and I meant to do this a lot earlier. I meant to do it in September, and now I am pushing all of these books together. I hope you don't mind. Okay, so let's start with August. The first book that I want to talk about is After the Rain by Barry Lyga and Peter Facinelli. Yes, that is Carlisle from the Twilight saga. They created a post-apocalyptic book, and I am still slightly interested in this one, only because I want to see how bad and good it is. I mean, Barry Lyga wrote I Hunt Killers, and I really enjoyed the first book of that trilogy. And so to have him and Carlisle write a book, I'm really interested still in that. I don't think I'll buy it unless I can't find it at the library. So that's book one. The next book I want to talk about is Mechanica by Betsy Cornwell. This is a Cinderella retelling, and if you guys have been around for a while, I'm starting to lose interest in fairy tale retellings. I mean, unless it's Alice in Wonderland or a really dark retelling of a fairy tale, I'm not really interested anymore. Mechanica is, Cinderella is a mechanic, and I believe she creates herself a friend or a boyfriend. I'm not sure. But I don't believe I will ever pick this book up. I was interested in it 3 years ago, but I am not interested in it anymore. The next book I want to talk about is The Creeping by Alexandria Soroi. As you can see, I purchased the book because I really wanted to read this. This is her debut novel. It's a YA thriller, and it's about a girl who went into the woods with a friend, and when she came back, she didn't have her friend anymore, so she was the only survivor. Nobody could find the friend. They believe that she was kidnapped or murdered. Yeah, and so this girl here, it's been years later, and it wasn't around Halloween, but around the day that she was kidnapped and her friend was murdered, they have like a bonfire in the cemetery, and that might be a little tasteless. They do it every year, maybe to remember the friend that died, or to, you know, try to bring her ghost back, or what have you. So our main character, she is at one of these bonfires, and she's still being asked every year if she remembers what happened during that time by cops and by fellow students, and a murder takes place the night of the bonfire, and they think that it might be the same killer that took the friend years and years ago. And this time around, our main character won't let her friend die in vain, and she wants to figure out who the killer is, and it goes from there. The ending was the only part of the book that I kind of didn't like, because I was thinking, like, shoot, that can't be the bad guy, and it totally was. So that was definitely a good read. I think I gave this 5 stars, 4 or 5 stars. Definitely enjoyed it. And so far, since this book, I have purchased all Alexandria Soroi's books. So there's this one here, and this one here. I believe she's only made 3, and I own all of them. The next book I want to talk about is Shackled by Tom Levine, or yeah, I think it's Levine. This is about a friend, or best friend, watching her friend be abducted, and I can't remember if it's about her trying to figure out who abducted her, or she went on with her life and now the ghost is haunting her. I cannot remember. I have not picked this book up yet. It is definitely a quick read. I do need to pick it up soon just to make sure whether I like it or not. But the synopsis 3 years ago interested me so much that I did buy the book. And so, yes, I am still interested in reading it. The next book, I have the picture here, is called The Dead Girls of Hysteria Hall. I did not buy this book. I did read it, however. I borrowed it from the library, and it's about a family who goes to this old mental hospital that used to be run by the family members. The girl, I believe, has, for some reason, either she has inherited the hospital or the entire family has inherited the hospital. I can't remember which is which. But when she gets there, lots of creepy things start happening. She does end up seeing ghosts in some of the mental hospital rooms. And at one point, something really bad happens, and she becomes a ghost of the house. That's not a spoiler. That's like in the first few pages. She does become a ghost, and now she's trapped within the house, and she doesn't know how to get her parents, like, to let them know that she's there. What did I compare this book to? It's not scary, so this is definitely a good Halloween read if you like mental hospital books, but it's not really scary. I would say it's kind of like Ghostbusters. Low-key The Shining, where the hospital is kind of interfering with the people that come there, trying to possess the people that live there in order to keep everyone in the hospital, if that makes sense. So it's not as scary, obviously, as The Shining. This is a YA novel, but it is definitely Halloween appropriate. So if you are interested in reading a mild horror about a mental hospital and a girl who's trapped in the hospital now that she is dead, then definitely pick up this book. Again, I borrowed it from the library. I gave it a 4-star. It was okay. I did enjoy it. The next book I want to talk about is The Diary of a Haunting. This is by M. Verano. I had this in my recommended horror reads. This is the first book that M. Verano has written, and it's about a girl who moves into a haunted house. The neighborhood kids have always known this house to be haunted, and so she becomes friends with a goth girl who wants to come to her house all the time and talk about the dead people from this house. Slowly, the girl starts to become possessed, and that's all I want to say about it. It was really, really good, and the ending totally floored me. I absolutely loved it. I 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. M. Verano has written 3 books altogether in this series. The second book, Possessed, which I will show you here, I did own it for a time. I read it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed this one, so I did give this one away. I gave this one 3 stars. The next book in the series is this one, and I can't remember the title, but here's the cover. That one is on my wish list right now from Amazon. I do need to buy it to see if I enjoy that one more. But so far, Diary of a Haunting is very good. The next book that was on my most anticipated reads for August of 2015 is Stranded by Melinda Braun. This is a teens versus Mother Nature book. This is a survival read. I think there is like earthquakes and a hurricane or a tornado or something, and these kids are stranded out in the middle of nowhere trying to battle Mother Nature. I love survival books, so I'm definitely still interested in reading this, and it is quite short. Not as short as Shackled, but hopefully it's a quick read, and it's a YA, so it should be. Book, I have a picture here of the book. I never bought it. It's called Dead Upon a Time by Elizabeth Poulsen. I read this. I borrowed it from the library. I gave it 3 stars. It's more of a middle grade story. It's a fairy tale retelling about a girl who, what is wrong? I can't think of how to explain this. I don't remember where she's from, is running away, and she's best friends with another fairy tale boy. I can't remember who it is. Can you tell I didn't like this book very much? I am butchering this review. I did talk about this review 3 years ago. I didn't like it. I gave it 3 stars. I felt that it was lacking in a lot of things. All of these books that I have read that I can tell you about, all of the reviews from Goodreads will be down below, so you can definitely check these out. I would check this one out for sure, just because I'm completely butchering the review. But yeah, if you saw this at one point in time and you thought you might want to read this retelling, I would skip it. I just didn't enjoy it as much. And now that I'm thinking about it, it should probably have like a 2.5 star because I can't remember anything of the story. The next book I have here, right here, is called 13 Days of Midnight. This is by Leo Hunt. And this is about a boy who gets a dark inheritance. For some reason, he inherits 13 spirits, which kind of reminded me of this graphic novel, which I do own. Do I own this? I think I do, or maybe I did and got rid of it. I will. It's over in my graphic novels, so if I do own it, it'll be there. Otherwise, of course, here is the picture. I haven't picked this book up yet. I am still interested in reading it. I don't know if my library even has this one, and that's the reason why I've never borrowed it from the library. But to inherit 13 ghosts, like what's the boy supposed to do with these ghosts? I am definitely curious to find out. The book I was interested in reading is Reawakened by Colleen Houck. This cover is what made me interested in reading it. So it's kind of like, you know, cover buys. I was interested because of the cover. It's an Egyptian mythology retelling, and now that I'm kind of have grown out of the Egyptian retellings or mythologies, I kind of don't really want to read this anymore. And then I have heard pretty mixed reviews on this book. Let me know down below if you enjoyed this book and you think I should pick it up. I've never read a Colleen Houck book, so I don't even know if I like her writing, but I am interested in what you guys have to say about it. So if you did enjoy it, let me know what I would enjoy from it and if I should pick it up, because I have seen this one at my library. The next book I have here is Keepers of the Labyrinth by Erin E. Moulton. This is a middle grade, this is a middle grade Greek mythology story about a girl who is trying to follow in her Air Force mother's footsteps. So she scales walls and climbs without harnesses and tries to be total badass to find out what happened to her mother. And her mother used to wear a necklace with like Greek or mythological symbols on it, and it's been missing since the mom vanished. And the girl is now being invited to some kind of conference in Crete, and that's where her mom went missing. So she definitely wants to go to figure out how her mom died and what happened to her. I'm not really interested in this book anymore. I don't know. It just doesn't appeal to me anymore. I don't know why I wanted to read it back then, but I definitely don't want to pick it up now. So if you have read it, let me know down below what you thought of that book. The next book I have here is Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray. This is the sequel to The Diviners. Look at how big this book is. It's absolutely humongous. Yeah, I had waited a good year or two for this book to come out after devouring The Diviners. Now, The Diviners is a horror story, a YA horror story set in the 1920s. It's got a bunch of characters. It follows a bunch of POVs. And basically, we have a ghost as the killer of that story. All of these characters have some kind of supernatural ability. Evie, our main character from this series, is able to hold things in her hand and read from past, I don't think future, I think just past events about the person that the object is, you know, the person owns the object. So she's able to look in the past and see things that happened with that person. Really high emotions usually are connected to the object. And so in the Diviners, we follow Evie and all these other characters to figure out who the killer is. In this book, it follows these secondary characters. I don't know if Evie's even in here. Maybe she is, because guess what? I never finished it. I picked it up last October, I believe, with Penelope, and we got like 50 pages in and put it down because this is so gigantic. This is something that I would have to pick up on October 1st and read every single day. The Diviners took, well, I guess I can hold this still up. The Diviners took me, I think, a week. I think we finished it in a week. And if I would have been reading it by myself without reading it with Penelope, I probably could have read it in a couple days just because it was such a fast read. It was so, so good. So I believe this one will also be as good. I just need to continue. You know what I mean? Like pick it up and make a habit of picking it up every day and reading it. Not because it's boring, just because it's so big, it's intimidating. So that's why I haven't finished it. But as you can see, I'm definitely interested. And then Penelope did buy me the third book in the series for my birthday. So definitely looking forward to finishing these. The next book I have here is The Uninvited by Kat Winters. I really like Kat Winters. And I think I did a vlogmas about my favorite auto-buy authors, and Kat Winters was one of them. I did read her first two books, and then I picked, I think this is her third book that she wrote. I could be completely wrong. I really like the first two books, which are Here and Here, and she writes supernatural, ghostly, historical fiction. So this one is about World War I or II. I read the first 5 or 6 pages and stopped reading it after that. Not because I didn't like it, but because I picked up other books. This is, you know, story of my life. I do this constantly. So I do want to pick this up at some point in time. I am definitely still interested. I do own Yesternight, another book by her. She also has 2 others that she's come out with that I still need to read. There's this one, and then there's this one. So if you like Kat Winters, let me know if you've read Uninvited and tell me what you thought of that one. I did borrow it, or I did let my friend borrow it from me, and when she read it, she said she really liked it. So I just need to pick it back up. The last book on my August anticipated reads of 2015 was Slasher Girls and Monster Boys. This is a 5-star anthology edited by April Genevieve Tuchok. I don't know how to say her last name. There are a ton of YA authors that has written in this book. This was also part of my recommended horror reads. I love this book. It was fantastic. Pretty much every single story in here is amazing. 5, I think, were my favorites that made me want to buy these authors' books to read, you know, more of their stuff. This is a good way to find out if you like horror, or if you like, you know, these YA authors. Short stories tend to give you a kind of like a little snippet of the way the author writes. And so if you like their writing, then you might like their other books. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, those were all of the August anticipated reads. Because, again, I am late on all of these, let's get into September. This video is already super long, I can just tell. I will try to edit it down as much as I can, but yeah, let's get on to September. The book that I want to talk about here is The Body Institute by Carol Riggs. This is a sci-fi dystopian that reminded me of Starters. Now, I can't remember, this is the book Starters. I can't remember the author of this, but I did pick it up and start reading it a little bit, and it's about how like old people can borrow young people's bodies through like some kind of mind switch. And they have a contract, so these teenagers are lent out to old people so that they can do stuff that young people used to do, like go running or climbing or go to amusement parks, stuff like that. Like where their body's too decrepit to really have fun anymore, they borrow these teenagers' bodies. And once you're a borrowed body, I don't know if you are able to get out of the contract for like 5 years or something. And so the main character, Starters, doesn't want to do this, and so she's on the run. It's kind of like back when we used to draft people for the military. I think the kids get drafted into being these things, and that just didn't appeal to me. So I took Starters back to the library. I never finished it. And then with the Body Institute, it just really reminds me of that story. So I am definitely not interested in reading this book anymore, especially since I picked up Starters and didn't like it. The next book I have here is Foxglove Killings by Tara Kelly. This is a YA thriller. I believe the murderer leaves flowers on its victims. That's its MO, which kind of reminds me of another book that I just read by, what's his name? Which kind of reminds me of the sequel that Hutchison wrote. Here's the book that I'm talking about. I can't think of the title right now, but I do own it and I really, really enjoyed it. But yeah, this book kind of reminds me of that one. Now, of course, I've read this book and I haven't read this one. So I'm hoping that this one is good or even better than this book. Sorry for the constant switching. I just want you to know what I'm talking about since I can't remember the title. Anyways, I've heard a lot of good things about this book and I'm really interested in reading it still, obviously. It's kind of thick. I don't know when I'll pick it up, but it is a thriller. And I do want to do thrillers and mysteries in November, so maybe, I don't know, I have a lot of mysteries and thrillers. So we'll see. We'll see. The next book I have here is Catacombs. This is by Madeline Rue. The reason why I'm showing you this book is because I need to remind myself to read it. Now, I read Here's Asylum and Sanctum by her. And then this is the third book and the conclusion to the trilogy. I did start this a few years ago. I'm currently on page 54. This is one of those books that I need to continue reading. I really, really enjoyed the first two books. Asylum is about a boy and a couple of other friends. He goes to this asylum, which is then turned into a college. He goes during the summer, like his senior year of high school, the summer before he can go into college, to kind of see if this is a college that he wants to attend. Now, all of the mental hospital rooms have been turned into dorms, but the basement still has all of the experiment rooms, the torture rooms, everything that the asylum director used to do down in the basement. But it's locked. And so Dan is our main character. Dan Crawford, him and a couple of kids that he becomes friends with during this summer, tour of the school, go down into the basement and find all these creepy things. And Dan ends up getting some kind of like gemstone, like what's it called? It's not a locket, but it's something on a chain that's really important to the storyline. Anyways, he finds it and takes it home. And then later on in the second book, he finds out that Dan Crawford, his name is Dan Crawford, but he finds out the director of the asylum's name is also Dan Crawford, and that he's related to him, that he's like his dad's brother or his grandpa's brother, something to that effect. And the stories go from there. They're very spooky, just like Ransom Riggs. This book comes with pictures. I don't know if you can see that on screen, but I really enjoy the layout of this story. So everything is color coded. So we have the pictures and the transition pages, like the chapter pages, are all in the same color. So I think the first one was all green, the second one is all blue, and then this one, all of the colors are like this orangey yellow goldish color. So I'm looking forward to reading this. I do own the prequel to this series as well. Penelope bought that for me for a present. I don't know if it was Christmas or my birthday, but I do need to pick that up. And then I also have the collection of novellas. I started those while I was reading these, and so I need to finish those as well. So if you are interested in asylum stories, I would definitely pick this one up. It gets really creepy at times. The second one has a secret society in it. So if you like secret societies, you can start off with asylums in the first book, and then secret societies, and then of course Catacomb I haven't finished, so I don't know what the theme is of that story, but I definitely want to pick it up ASAP. Next we have Mary Unleashed by Hilary Monahan. Again, this is another book that was on my recommended horror reads for this year. This came out in 2015. I immediately picked it up because I really enjoyed the first one. I believe I bought the first one and then the second one and read them back to back. Maybe I didn't read these until 2016. I know I finished them in January of either 2015 or 2016, and I like literally back to back picked them up and read them because they were so good. So anyways, this one is a Bloody Mary retelling. If you like Bloody Mary, you're gonna love this duology. I swear to you, it's the best Bloody Mary retelling I have ever read. It is YA, but it is definitely spooky. The author, Hilary, definitely goes to there. She doesn't allow it to be tame. It's not a tame book. If this could be a rated R for YA, just because of like blood and gore and everything, then this definitely would be it. This is not PG-13. I absolutely enjoyed this series and I'm so happy I bought this. This was 5 stars. If you guys don't mind, the rest of this video I'm going to have to do with my eyes open because the fake blood is starting to sting my eyeballs. Can you see me well enough? Is this better? I wanted to make this a scary thing, but it's taking a long time, and like I said, the blood is starting to seep into my eyeball with my eyes closed because the blood is all on the top of my eyelid. So I will try to do the rest of this video pretty quickly. So the next book on my list is Here, Dark Shimmer. And this is by Donna Jo Napoli. This is a fairy tale retelling about Snow White. This whole book is about the evil queen and how she became evil. I was really interested in it a long time ago, but I'm not interested in it anymore. Then we have Edgewater. This is by Courtney Shamil. And this is a mystery contemporary romance. And I'm not interested in any contemporary romances anymore. I don't even know why this is on my list, but I don't want to read this one anymore. Next, oh, my eye's really stinging now. The next book I have here is Boy Meets Girl Massacre. This is by Ainsley Hogarth. I used to own this book. I did buy it and read it. I gave it 3.5 stars. Not good enough to keep on my shelf, so I already have given it away to one of you guys. It's about a girl who works at a haunted hotel. She's heard that it's haunted. This is her summer job. She's never seen anything haunted happen at this hotel. And then one night she decides to have a party and things happen and people die. It's written kind of like in a detective story where the detectives are asking her questions, and so it's like all of their notes from the murder, which I really enjoyed, but it wasn't good enough to keep. The next book I have here is Locke and Maury. This is by Heather W. Petty, and this is another Sherlock Holmes retelling. We have Locke and, I don't know which one is which, we have Locke and Morty, so a boy and a girl duo, and they are detectives and partners. And that's all I know about this. I was very interested in reading it, and so I picked it up, and I'm still interested in reading it. So hopefully it's good. I'm hoping it's more of a Study in Charlotte, but like more grown up, if that makes sense. Because Study in Charlotte, the kids are in college or they're in high school. A Study in Charlotte, the kids are in high school, and these characters kind of look like they're a little bit older. We'll see. I believe this is still YA, but I really did like A Study in Charlotte, so I'm definitely interested in reading more retellings of Sherlock Holmes. The next is The Suffering by Rin Chapeko. This was amazing. This is the sequel to Girl in the Well. Now, if you read The Girl in the Well by Rin Chapeko, you know that it's about a boy who has a lot of kanji tattoos all over him, that his mom did it when he was little, and then his mom went to a mental hospital because she put all those tattoos on him. He ends up having a ghost, like a good ghost, attach herself to him, and then they become like partners in trying to send bad ghosts to like a hell or, you know, an after world or afterlife, so that way they can't harm people on the Earth's realm anymore. Does that make sense? So he is like a ghost hunter, and then he has a ghost as a partner who finds bad ghosts to send them away so they can't harm any more humans. And in The Suffering, it takes place in the suicide forest, which is so fantastic. It's very, very creepy. I highly recommend. I gave that one, did I give it 5 stars? I give it 4 stars. I own it on my Kindle, but I don't own it in the physical form, which I should totally buy. One of these days I'm going to buy it. I was interested in reading is The Dead House. This is by Dawn Kurtagich, or Kurtagich. I don't know how to say her last name. I really enjoyed this one. This is about a girl who lives in a mental hospital but goes to school at a boarding school across the way, and she believes that she has a twin sister, but she can't remember where she is. Like, she leaves notes and her sister will write her back. The doctors believe that she has a split personality, but she tries to, you know, convince them that she doesn't. This book also is in a format where you have pictures, diary entries, notes from the sister. The detectives have their questionings. What is it called? Criminal investigation interviews. That's what it's called. They have like interviews. So it's definitely a mixed media book. I absolutely loved it. I gave this one, what did I give it? I gave it 4 stars, and I really enjoy the writing of Dawn Kurtagich. So I did buy her The Trees Crept In, which is the second book that she's written. It's not a sequel, but you know, this is her debut novel, and then I bought the second book that she wrote. Both very, very good books. Highly recommend. This isn't really scary, but it's definitely a creepy read. Next several books I don't own, and I don't think I want to read them anymore. The first one here is Ashen Bramble. Again, this is going to be something that's reoccurring, because I'm not interested in reading fairy tale retellings anymore. But this is Ashen Bramble. This is by Sarah Prineas, and this is another Cinderella retelling. So, meh. And then we have Bits and Pieces by Jonathan Mayberry. This, however, is a companion to his zombie trilogy. These are all like the novellas. I did really enjoy the first 2 books by Jonathan Mayberry. There's like 4, I think, in the whole series. And then Bits and Pieces is the novella collection. So I am still interested in reading this one, but I can't tell you when I will pick it up, because I still haven't picked up the 3rd book in the series itself. And again, it's about a zombie, it's a zombie book. So it's a post-apocalyptic story about people, you know, coming back and trying to live with this zombie infestation. The zombies are outside of these giant like city walls, and people aren't supposed to go outside because of course they will be eaten and killed by these zombies. But they learn how to survive. And it's really, really good. I absolutely enjoy it. Jonathan Mayberry is an amazing writer. So much so that this is like a horror read, and I totally almost sobbed in the second book. It was so good. We have The Sleeper and the Spindle. This is a graphic novel by Neil Gaiman and Chris Riddell, I believe. This is a fairy tale story. It's so beautiful. As you can see, here's the cover. I actually am still interested in reading this, but again, I don't know when. I don't own it. So one day, maybe I'll borrow it from the library. But it's fairy tale, so not really interested at the moment, but I do love Neil Gaiman. The next book I have here is another book from a series, and that is Library of Souls by Ransom Riggs. This is the third book in Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. When I first purchased this book, which this was a pre-order because I was so obsessed with these books when they first started. And again, these ones have creepy pictures in them. Here's the back of that, all those creepy pictures. Everybody should know Ransom Riggs by now. So anyways, I was very interested in reading this story. Still haven't picked it up. Story of my life. I am still interested in reading it. And of course, the fourth book just came out this month. So who knows? One day I will pick it up. The next book I have here is another picture. This is the Murdstone Trilogy by Mal Pete. It is a humor book of books. Now, I borrowed this from the library. It's about a man who writes like contemporary books, and his publisher and editor is like, you really need to write a trilogy. And he's like, I don't want to write a trilogy. I don't know anything about fantasy. And they're all like, but you know, you're gonna get stuck in a rut. People are tired of reading contemporary novels with boys as the main characters. You need to write a fantasy. And he is staying at this house in Ireland, I believe, and somehow he comes across this dwarf who says, okay, I will help you if you do this. Okay, I will help you if you do that. So it's kind of like Rumpelstiltskin almost. So he continues to have this little dwarf write him his stories. He becomes super famous because these stories are just awesome. And I enjoyed it for the most part. I gave it a 3. Did I give it 3 stars? I gave it 3 stars. It was pretty good. Not to the point where I would buy it, but definitely worth a read. I thought it was funny too. And it's an adult book. I thought it was supposed to be a YA, but it's definitely adult. All right, my list was a 5-star read, and that is Beastly Bones by William Ritter. If you haven't picked up Jacoby, you are missing out. This is the sequel to Jacoby. We have Jacoby and, what's her name? So we have Jacoby and Abigail, and in this book, sorry, I'm having a hard time talking. In Jacoby, they are doing a supernatural mystery. They're trying to figure something out. And in this one, same thing, but it's at a dinosaur site, like an archaeological dig, and they have to figure out what to do with this dig. Very good. I absolutely loved it. I love the dynamic between Jacoby and Abigail. It's super funny, and this is when you learn about her love interest, which is not Jacoby, it's somebody else, but it's super cute. Absolutely loved. I have all of his books, and I wish he would write a million because William Ritter is so good at writing. Next is This Monstrous Thing by Mackenzie Lee. I've now been recording for 1 hour, so I'm going to go a lot quicker. This is a retelling of Frankenstein. I haven't picked up Frankenstein yet, but this cover is gorgeous, and I'm interested in reading it, and so there's that. Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I absolutely loved her Grisha trilogy, so I had to pick this one up. It's set in the same world, but it's with different characters. It's about a heist. I'm scared to pick this one up because I don't really like heist books, but I do love the world. And so, yeah, my friend Tanya bought this for me for my birthday because I was worried that the black pages would run away and there wouldn't be any more. I don't have the sequel yet because I haven't read this one. Let me know down below how you liked this book. Maybe I'll pick it up next year. I do need to pick up more fantasy. Fantasy makes me nervous. And then we have Sanctuary. This is by Jennifer McCaskick. And this is a gothic mystery thriller. Maybe I'll pick this one up next month. We will see. Definitely looking forward to reading it though. We have two more for September. Two more for September. The next one here is a graphic novel. This is Saga Volume 5 by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. If you haven't read Saga, it is absolutely rated R for adults. It's got a lot of hanky-panky and it has a lot of adult themes in it. And yeah, very, very good though. It's sci-fi. It's about star-crossed lovers, two different races that fall in love and have a baby, and they're not supposed to because both of their races are at war. So good. Highly recommend reading if you're an adult. And my last book here is The Bazaar of Bad Dreams by Stephen King. I still haven't picked this one up yet. And this is a collection of short stories that he has written. So, need in my life, haven't purchased yet. Whew, done with September. That was a lot of books. On to my October anticipated reads. And again, I'll be going pretty quickly with this one as well. Just because I'm running out of time and I have to go to work. And I have here is Becoming Darkness. This is by Lindsay Frances Brambles. This is a vampire book, and it's about also an alternate Hitler. So I don't know if Hitler owns vampires or Hitler is now a vampire or there's vampires and Hitler. I'm not sure, but I'm definitely looking forward to reading it. It's nice and heavy. It's got the soft, like magazine feeling pages in it. I love vampires, so I'm looking forward to this one. Then we have The Detour right here. Doesn't that look creepy? It looks like a mental hospital, like where you only get water and bread. This is by S.A. Bodine. This is a mystery thriller, and it's about a teacher that gets kidnapped. So, ooh, looking forward to that one. Very, very skinny. This should be a fast read. Then we have The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. I don't own this one, and I don't know if I'm interested in reading it anymore. It's about the not the anti-heroes. It's about the people that aren't part of the superhero stories. Like all of the side characters or the people that are affected by the superheroes. Is that right? I think that's what it's about. Not the hero. The dude down the street watching. Yeah, that's what I wrote. So yeah, let me know down below if you liked this, and maybe I will borrow it from the library. I don't plan on buying it, but we'll see. And then we have, this one was really good, A Madness So Discreet. This is by Mindy McGinnis. I don't own any other Mindy McGinnis book besides this one. This is about a girl who is put into a mental hospital or asylum when she is pregnant, and the dad puts her in there. He's planning on being the mayor or running for a government position. This is back in the day, like in the late 1800s, I think. And so she is an embarrassment to him, and it might make his it suffer his campaign if people find out that she's pregnant. So he sends her to this hospital. She ends up befriending the doctor there, and he helps her escape, and then they become partners in murders. So she like assists him, which is not killing people, but discovering who the killers are of certain murders. Really, really enjoyed it. This isn't like a romance between the doctor and her. It's just a friendship that blossoms into hopefully a sequel. I don't know, but definitely enjoyed this one. And then we have 2 books that I'm not interested in reading anymore. We'll Never Be Apart by Amiko Jean. This is a mystery thriller. I don't know if I will like this one. And If You Wrong Us by Dawn Keller. This is a psychological thriller. Kind of like Gone Girl. I don't know if you can... whenever someone says this is like Gone Girl or this is like Gillian Flynn, it's never like Gillian Flynn. So let me know down below if these 2 thriller mysteries are worth reading, if you have read them, and maybe I'll borrow it from my library, but I do not own them. Next, we have another sequel, and that is Gathering Deep by Lisa Maxwell. The first book is called Unrested, I believe. And it's about a girl who moves into a plantation house down in Louisiana with her father, who is a historian and a restorer of like antiquities. So they move in, they're going to run this plantation as a museum, and the father is in charge of doing this. She doesn't want to move down there, and so she's pretty bitter and upset about it. While she's there, she meets a voodoo woman and another, like, I guess the voodoo woman's like niece or something. And then she's talking to ghosts, and it's very creepy. I really like anything like a Southern Gothic story. I really like voodoo. I like, talking to the dead and cemeteries and everything. So I had to purchase the sequel to find out what happens next in the books, because something does happen at the end. And it's just a duology, so hopefully I like this one. If I do, then I will pick up the first one in paperback. Otherwise, I will give this one away. And then we have The Devil in Winnie Flynn. This is by Mikol Ostov. Mikol? I borrowed this one from the library, and this is the second book that I've read from Mikol Ostov. The first one was a Amityville horror retelling, which was awful. And then this one is about a girl who is part of a ghost hunters TV show, and they're in New York, I think, or New Jersey, and they're following some kind of demon goat person, or it's like the New Jersey, some kind of New Jersey monster. But she's a part of this crew. I think she's a gopher, so she like gets coffee and everything. She's not like the lighting person or like stagehands where they help like create things. She's none of those. She's just a background helper. Anyways, it was okay. It wasn't scary. The main character kind of annoyed me, and that's why I gave it, I think I gave it, 3 stars. It was a library borrow, would never purchased it, so maybe you could skip it, I don't know. Next, I have a sci-fi, and that is Beast of Cretaceous by Todd Strasser. This is like Moby Dick in space. That's all I'm going to say about it, because that's all I want to know about it. I heard Moby Dick in space in a review, or I was reading the synopsis, which reminded me of Moby Dick because I was reading it at the time, and it's in space, so I had to buy it. Look at this cover. It is massive. I still haven't picked it up, but I'm hoping it's a good read. Let me know down below if you've read this one. I have The House by Christina Lauren. This is just a horror. I believe this is about a haunted house. I still haven't picked it up yet. I picked up a lot of haunted house books this month. It's kind of like the theme for this October is a lot of haunted house readings. I wanted to add this, but I didn't think I would have time to read it, which I am right, because we only have about a week and a half left of October. So, still definitely interested in reading this. Let me know if you've read it and what you liked about it. All right, a couple more books. The next book I have here is another sequel, and that is Persuasion, which this is a signed copy. This is by Martina Boone. This is the Heirs of Watson Island trilogy. This is the sequel to, what was the first one called? Compulsion. The first one was Compulsion. This is Persuasion. It's about 3 rich families that live in the South. I can't remember if it's like South Carolina. And anyways, it's the 3 families all had some kind of voodoo thing that happened way back when. And so each family got a certain power. Like one can read the future, one can bring back the dead. I'm totally guessing here. I haven't read Compulsion in a really, really long time. One can compulse people. Anywho, really, really liked it, but that's like a supernatural romance, and this is a continuation of it. I have the whole trilogy because I am interested in reading it, but I don't know when I'll pick it up. These are like fluff reads, and again, they are YA supernatural romances, and they're huge. So yeah, interested, but not, I don't know when. Maybe I'll pick it up over the summer next year. I have 2 more books and then we will be done. We have The Winter Place by Alexander Yates. This is a middle grade book about the world between life and death, and this is a Finnish mysticism book. I am still interested in reading this one. I haven't seen it at my library, so I probably will have to buy this and add it to my kids' shelves because I like buying middle grade and adding it to their shelves. It makes me feel like I'm buying it for them when I'm really buying it for myself because I have a problem. And if I buy books for my children, then the problem's not me. I'm being nice. Are you getting where I'm going here? Okay, so that's it. I thought there was one more, but The Winter Place is the last one. So, wow, I do apologize for this very long video. I would have broken it up, but I didn't have time and I wanted to have a Halloween look for you guys. Let me close my eyes so I can do my outro. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video of my recap, rewrap, and update of August, September, and October of 2015. People have asked me in the past, why do you make these books? And like I always say in all of these videos, I like to go back through the books that I was interested in reading years ago, see whether I purchased them, whether I read them, whether I'm still interested in them, and let you guys know about some books that you should pick up because we need to give all books love, not just future books or books that are coming out this year, but past books need some love too. And this way you guys can be introduced to new authors and hopefully like them and then be able to buy their newest books in the future. I hope you liked this creation today. The no eyes and the Freddy Krueger slashed here. I was trying to get him to, kill me and take my eyes. And that was my nightmare. And I hope you guys are enjoying your week. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully I post this soon. And that is it. That is it. That is it. Thank you so much for watching this video, this very long video. I apologize. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.